Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charleston, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty much an unplanned show, but before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to this channel. Now, this is actually a topic that was absolutely unplanned. We're actually done for today, but then I saw this, and it inspired us to produce another show here. So, as y'all know, the Brooklyn Nets played yesterday against the New York Knicks. It was an entertaining game, but they blew them out, right? They beat the Knicks pretty handily. But prior to the game, the pregame show, it featured Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, and Jalen Rose. And Stephen A. Smith went on the show to, give his analysis, his pregame analysis, and they asked him about Ime. And at the time, he said that he felt that the Brooklyn Nets should have, he would have liked to have seen him get the opportunity, but Mike Wilbon then came on and said, no, they couldn't give him the opportunity for X, Y, and Z. After Mike Wilbon outlined his position, and Mike Wilbon is somebody that Stephen A. Smith has deferred to publicly on TV because of his reverence for him, I thought that Stephen A. Smith would have kind of taken his opinion or taken that position and just said, okay, you know what, Mike has a point, let me move on to something else. But that's the opposite. Today, while they were airing ESPN First Take, they asked Stephen A. Smith the question on the show while he was on there with Brian Windhorst, and the question was essentially, to give you guys the backdrop, was Jacque Vaughn the right guy for the job with the Brooklyn Nets, given some of the issues that this team was experiencing? And when Molly asked him the question, he did not hold back whatsoever on his true feelings about the Nets hiring Jacque Vaughn over Ime Udoka. So for those of you who missed the comments that Stephen A. Smith had to make on this particular matter, we want to play them for you now, and then we're going to come back and react to it. So take a listen to that.
Stephen A., you were at Barclays last night. Do you think this is the right move to hire Vaughn?
Well, let me say this. I'm going to qualify it by saying I don't think it's the wrong move. I'm very, very happy for Jacque Vaughn. He deserves this opportunity. He's a good brother. He's smart. He knows basketball. More importantly, he's put in the time, the work, the energy, not just as a player, but as a coach, paying his dues throughout the years. And it's really, really good to see him have this opportunity, okay? He's 7-3, I think 7-3 or 8-3 in 10 or 11 games as a head coach because he coached some games before the bubble and then into the bubble. So I give him a lot of credit where credit is due. But Wendy, I'm still of the mindset I wouldn't call this the right move. I'm just happy for Jacque Vaughn, and I'm hopeful and prayerful that it works out for him because I'm rooting for him. Ime Udoka, to me, should have been the head coach for the Brooklyn Nets. Whatever we're hoping Jacque Vaughn achieves, we know that Ime Udoka can achieve it because he already has. In his first year in Boston, he achieved what Brad Stevens could not achieve in 8 years as head coach of the Boston Celtics, and that was taking them to the NBA Finals. We know how great of a coach Ime Udoka is because he has already proven that. I understand this notion about because of all the drama that has been taking place in Brooklyn and because of the self-inflicted drama that Ime Udoka is enduring as we speak, that it just seemed to be too much controversy. That's what Mike Wilbon religiously pointed out, and I totally get that. I'm saying to you, Wendy, if I was the ownership group for the Brooklyn Nets, I would have hired Ime Udoka anyway because you don't see coaches like him come around every day. He's a foundational kind of coach to build your franchise around in terms of his coaching ability, and it is clear that of all the things that Kyrie has done since he has been in Brooklyn every single year, finding a reason to get time off, Kyrie Irving cost Ime Udoka this head coaching job in Brooklyn. If it were not for the latest shenanigans involving Kyrie Irving, Ime Udoka would be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets today. And so I look at it from that perspective. That's sad. That's unfortunate that it happened. But I am rooting for Jacque Vaughn, and I don't blame the coaches for having faith in him because he is a stabilizing presence and force. He has been there. They're very familiar with him. They respect him. They trust him. And more importantly, they're going to play hard for him because they want to give him a chance to succeed. He deserves this opportunity. I'm throwing no shade on him whatsoever. It's just a damn shame that a great coach like Ime Udoka can't get this opportunity. Despite his self-inflicted wounds, he doesn't get this job in Brooklyn because of the latest stuff involving Kyrie Irving. It was just too much for Brooklyn to deal with.
Now, I want to say this before I get to that. The part about him blaming it on Kyrie Irving, I don't like that. Now, does Kyrie Irving play a role in it in terms of, is he in the news? Yes, Kyrie Irving is in the news, right? But I'm not going to blame that on Kyrie Irving. I'm not going to blame them not hiring Ime Udoka because of Kyrie. They didn't hire Ime Udoka because of the pressure that they got from other voices. The truth is, when they initially fired Steve Nash, all of the reports from all the major or all the credible people in media, all of it was pointing to Ime Udoka being the replacement guy, head coach for Steve Nash. We all did this. We all reported on it. The articles are out there. It's not like as if they made this up. So the Brooklyn Nets were, in fact, getting ready to make that decision. And it had nothing to do with Kyrie Irving. What ended up happening was they were influenced to make another decision, and which is a clear sign of an indecisive person and organization. Always second guessing. Who do we do this? Do we do that? That's the reason the Nets are in the mess that they are in now. Some people say, well, how do you know that? You're being no, I do know this. How do I know this? During the off season, what ended up? No, first of all, you can go back to the Vax thing. Kyrie said, they say, Kyrie, you can't play. Okay, then you can play. That's one example. Number two, Kevin Durant wanted to leave the team. They said, we won't let you leave the team. KD said, okay, please fire Sean Marks or Steve Nash. They said, no, we're not going to do that. Less than 2 weeks into the season, what did they do? They fired Steve Nash. Something that they said they were not going to do, right? Basically second guessing themselves. Then they said, okay, they're going to go hire this guy. Then they turn around and say, no, we're not going to hire him. So I don't believe that the Brooklyn Nets were looking at this from a PR standpoint. They just look like a team that just gets influenced easily because they were going to do it anyway. They were already aware of that, but they were looking at the issues and the challenges that they had on the ground, which was with their team. People are talking about the PR. What's worse, hiring Ime and getting all of that chatter or having another unsuccessful campaign? People are not even looking at it from the monetary standpoint. Think about the payroll that the Brooklyn Nets and all of the financial investment that has gone into this group in terms of the roster, and then you don't deliver. You don't even make it. Last year, they got swept. So what would you consider a successful campaign? Just make it into the playoffs, and then by the time, listen, if they had hired Ime, 2 months from now, people would have forgot about it. Maybe with the exception of Malika Andrews and a few others that like to rehash whole things. People would have forgotten about it, but at least you know you have a person that can go in there and help you get the job done. So I don't buy this thing of it has something to do with Kyrie. It has nothing to do with Kyrie because the Nets were already going to make that decision while they were mired in all of this drama anyway. So I don't like this Stephen A. Smith put it on Kyrie Irving. That was unfair, right? Because now you want to blame Kyrie for the organization's indecisiveness when it comes time to take a decision. You can't blame Kyrie for that. We're not going to blame Kyrie for the rain tomorrow if it rains. Like, come on. So I like the fact that he said what he said in terms of not backing off of his position, his original stance, in terms of, you know, him believing that Ime Udoka should have got the job. I agree with him on that point to this day, and no one is going to convince me otherwise, because what he did has nothing to do with his coaching ability, but people want to make it that. But in terms of him kind of tying it into Kyrie, I totally disagree with that. Has nothing to do with Kyrie. Yes, it's part of the noise, but the fact of the matter is all the reports indicated that they were going to hire him anyway. So Kyrie, that excuse just won't fly. So these are my thoughts and opinions on this. What I want to know from you guys, what do you think? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch you all on the next show.